telesales operations in the game. James's model, it's really it's for independent agents and advisors who want training, scripting, and customer service kind of like all together. And we hooked up like 3 months ago or so, 2 months ago, something like
Yeah,
that.
I think we talked a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and then at that time, I think you said you were doing some type of Facebook leads, and you were only working in one state, and I was like, man, this guy has no clue what he's doing. I'm gonna move on from him. And and then a couple years later, I realized, okay, this chatbot thing, there might be something to this. So, uh, yeah, so that's our background.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, so right now it's funny, like the evolution and progression of good ideas. But
Yeah.
anyway, we're working on a project right now with a few of his like really like high performance agents. But I don't. Yeah, more than that, the important thing, the reason why I really wanted to bring James on here is he's helped, and what he does is he currently helps independent agents to really like up their game, and he's got a bunch of not just big picture 10,000 foot, but he's got a bunch of tactical strategy that he can share with you guys. So, James, welcome, brother. Thanks so much for being on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. So we're gonna go. I'm gonna dive bomb you with some questions here, and
Sure.
we're gonna see what sort of hopefully you can give our crew a whole bunch of like good like tactical knowledge here.
Yeah.
So I guess just starting off at the beginning, like James, how do you get started in the insurance world?
How did I get started? My wife has actually been an agent for about 25 years, and she told me, "Hey, if you want to write your own paycheck and determine how much money you're going to make, you're going to have to sell insurance." So that's what I did, and I got into the final expense market, and I door knock direct mail leads. That's all that I did was door knock direct mail leads for about the first 3 years, 3 or 4 years I was an insurance agent, and I loved it. And I that's just what you did. You got your stack of leads and you went and hit the town and ran through them. And so that's basically how I got started. And then I fell into telesales, and the rest is history, as they say.
What what made you go from door knocking to telesales? There has to be some sort of reason that would make you do it.
So the reason was actually I had a face-to-face agent that was struggling, and he said, "Hey, can you help me get into telesales?" And I said, "Man, I've never heard anything good about it, but I'll ask around." And I asked a friend of mine, he happened to be friends with Ramez Hakim from North Star, and they were just launching a program where they wanted people to start an independent or like a franchise version of North Star and
Mhm.
have a small call center. And we have an office already that we use through open enrollment for Medicare. And then the rest of the year, we really don't use it. So I told my wife, like, hey, let's just find a couple people and get them licensed and put them on the phone and see if this works. And the phrase that really sold me on the idea was they said, look, we can take a waitress from Bob Evans, get her insurance license, put her on the phone, and she'll write $10,000 or more every single month for the rest of her life. And you don't have to do anything. You just got to manage your people and provide the office and everything. So I said, okay, let's see what happens. And you figure worst thing that's going to happen is we're going to throw 5 or 10 grand at this. It's not going to work. We're going to be like every other face-to-face guy and say telesales doesn't work for final expense, and we move on with our life. So when I actually started my call center with North Star, Vince Spampanato, who is one of my partners with Premier Producers Group and has now passed away, he sent everybody an email and he said, tell us what your intention is with our company. And my email said, I will never stop selling face to face because I make too much money. I'm only doing this to build a call center. And then, it's been probably 3 or 4 years since I've sold a face to face policy. And it just came down to seeing that, wow, man, this works. It's a very good system. It's very repeatable, and you can really scale a business with this. So I never had intentions. I wasn't failing at face-to-face sales. I was doing extremely well. And I didn't even realize the problems that I was having as far as how inefficient door knocking leads are compared to, selling final expense over the phone.
So that's a really good point. Because everybody, especially the big IMOs, they talk about really face to face as being like the only long-term play. And there's a lot of, I mean, COVID kind of changed things a little bit because suddenly these face-to-face agents, and we helped a good number of them kind of progress over to telesales. But why have IMOs been so like hesitant to embrace phone sales?
I think that they are just like any other agent. They just have heard bad things about it, and they don't
Mhm.
have a system. That's the biggest thing. So, telesales is a system. So you have to
Okay.
have your marketing in place. You got to have a good sales process, and then you have to have customer service retention to run a good telesales organization. And a lot of IMOs are not set up for that. They're just old school guys that say buy your leads, go hit the doors, and you'll make sales. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, by no means am I here to tell you that face to face is a dying model or anything like that. There's always going to be people that sell face to face, and the IMOs are always going to be there saying that telesales doesn't work until COVID hits, and then they're
Hmm.
all telesales gurus, and then COVID
Yes.
and then, they've all of a sudden got a turnkey system in place. And the reality of it is, they had one guy that sold a policy over the phone, a couple years ago, and now they're like, well, it can't be that hard. And that's how that it works out. So, not to
Oh my
bash these
God.
guys, but that's I think everybody that's a spectator of the industry can agree that, wow, man, I didn't know they did telesales. If you look back at their Facebook post a month before COVID, there was never a mention of telesales other than don't do it. And then COVID hits, and it's like, oh yeah, we're the telesales industries. We're the king of the industry or whatever. So that's just how it works.
It's like the telesales system 5000
Yeah.
plus version 10x. There you go, Grant Cardone. Yeah, it's amazing how that happened. How we suddenly had the gurus pop up, and right after that, as soon as COVID kind of, I mean, it's not really calmed down, but as soon as agents could get back into the field, then it's quiet. The Facebook groups are now chilled out again. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
opportunistic a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, Let me ask you this. So like the majority of our crew they're independent agents. And a lot of times like they've seen the writing on the wall as far as the fact that, hey, COVID obviously hampered their game a good bit. And at the other side, like glass half full, there's a crap ton of opportunity to be able to sit like you and I are sitting right here, to be able to call folks all over the country and close deals. So on the other hand, so they see this opportunity, they're like, man, these guys are doing really well, but they are overwhelmed with kind of the technology, with the sales pitch, because you can't look at somebody face to face. You have to rely all on inflection and listening and some tactics over the phone. But I guess long-winded question, but what are a few steps you think that an independent agent who wants to sell over the phone, what are a few steps that they can take?
The first thing they need to do is they need to really do some self-evaluation, and they've got to commit to it. When COVID hit and we had 100 agents that we brought on all at once, there's
Hmm.
probably 5 or 6 of those guys still left that are producing,
Hmm.
because it was all face-to-face guys. And as soon as the market changed and they thought they were going to be able to go back out, a lot of them went back out. A lot of them never even got on the phone. So the first step for an agent is, as Vince used to say, you got to burn the boats and say, I'm going to learn to sell final expense over the phone. That's what I'm going to do. And there is no more face to face. And when I talk to agencies and agents, I always tell them, this is the mindset that you have to have for at least the next 60 days, and really commit to this and give it a good shot. And then once you see that you're successful, you can continue on. So the first thing that I would tell people is, if you are failing at face to face and you're looking for an easier opportunity, this isn't it.
Uh-uh.
It is not it. It's not going to be less work. It's going to be more efficient once you're good at it. But you really need to do that self-evaluation and say, why am I not going to sell face to face, and how committed am I to making something else work? So that's the first step. And then once that you make that step, you need to get with somebody that's already selling final expense over the phone successfully, And maybe it's not us, maybe it's you, or maybe it's somebody that's selling training programs or whatever. There's not very many out there, to tell you the truth, but you got to get with an organization that understands telesales and is going to be focused on that. If you're their only telesales agent, that's not going to work out, because they have no lead programs. They've got no scripting. Like, you're just a lone ranger. So don't try it that way either, or at least I wouldn't. That's the first two things I would say, is get with self-evaluation, and then getting with an agency that can help you expand your telesales experience and knowledge is the two biggest factors. Then aside from that, lead programs, but a lot of that stuff you're getting from your mentor that's getting you into telesales. Lead programs, that's the biggest thing really, is where am I going to get leads, and then how to compliantly do it. So getting a good CRM or phone system that records calls and all of that good stuff is a big factor too.
Gotcha. Yeah, it seems like there's a few things that you got to do, and I almost think like there's levels. There's levels that you have different problems depending on where you are. So when you're starting off, it's, hey, get the leads, right? Probably the most important thing before you even invest in something that's so heavy. You need to get the leads. Then, okay, well, let's work on our sales ability. Let's work on our sales skills. After that, then we can work on a CRM once you're kind of like overwhelmed with it. But I think making sure that you have people to call to sell is the most important thing. Did we lose James?
I'm still on here.
Oh,
I had a call come in, and I'm not sure.
We can't see you. You are replaced by a lovely G, or a guest, I think. But dude,
hold on 1 second here.
Yeah. Hey, and as long as you can hear me, it's all good. Information is better than our pretty faces.
I'm working on flipping this around here.
All right, that's good. I'm going to bring up something that you said that hit me. That Vince, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guy. What he said, it's the same quote. I think it comes from, or Tony Robbins used it. If you want to take the island, you have to burn your boats. So whatever you're doing, whether you're selling over the phone, whether you're selling face to face, no matter what you want to excel at, there he is. Woo-hoo!
Yeah, give me 1 second. I got you on.
Back. See here, back and better than ever. So, yeah, no, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sweet. No, what I was saying is, like, whatever you do, you have to do it with a passion, and if you spread yourself out too thin, then you're going to become what's the saying? Jack of all trades, master of none. So, I love it.
Right.
Tell me this: there is, and you mentioned it before. You had 100 agents start out, and then like there's 5 that like really really solid that are left, and part of it was just because of the COVID. Like, oh my God, I have to make money in the next few months. But talk about like agent burnout as a whole, because I think it's something that's important to address. Like, do you think that agents kind of failing and burning out, do you think it's due to mindset issues, technology, tactics, leads? Like, is there something you can kind of point towards as a kind of a lesson for folks?
There's 2 things that we have identified as a major issue with why people fail, or why they fall off, burnout, whatever you want to call it. The first thing is they were already failing at face-to-face, and they think this is going to be easier. So that's one big factor. That's probably about 30% of our failure rate now.
Yeah.
About the next, I would say 60% of our failure is the people seem to be overwhelmed with, and they have this fear to get on the phone. They're just flat out afraid to get on the phone. And I kind of get a kick out of that, because I experienced the exact same thing when I started, and I had sold thousands of policies face to face. And I'm like, why in the world would I be like, why do I have call reluctance, which I didn't even know was a real thing? And I was reading some Zig Ziglar thing one day, and he talked about call reluctance. And I'm like, wow, there's a name for that. And so what we've identified is the failing agents that are looking for an easy way out. And then the next thing is people come into this with the wrong expectation and they're just overwhelmed out the door. So what we've done on our side is we've really pushed back a lot of the training, and we give them very little training as
Mhm.
far as like we went from a 40-hour training to about a 10-hour training before they actually get on the phone. And we're seeing success with that. So the biggest thing is for those agents, that's all about getting started. The burnout, as far as agents that commit to our system and continually buy leads every week, or if they're on a free lead program or something like that, we don't see a lot of burnout from those agents. It's all about them seeing success in the early on in the final expense world, and final expense telesales rather. Once they see that success and they see that this does work, then it's just, it's a machine. It's just pumping out policies is what happens. Uh, so that's what I would say. The burnout really happens before they get on the phone a lot of times, or it doesn't happen as much. So we don't see a lot of guys go 6 months and then say, "Hey, I'm sick of this." It's either I hate it right out the door, or I'm sticking around.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember the first time I started doing phone sales in 2003 and just being like, I don't know why, doesn't ever make sense to anybody, right? I was petrified to get
Yeah,
on the phone. And you're like,
and
why?
exhausted.
Who cares? They can hang up on you. Thank God they hang up on me. Next. Like, please, if you don't want to talk
Yeah,
to me, like, I don't want it. Bye. Like, cool. I'm closer to talking to somebody who does. Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But then you learn how to handle that, right?
yeah.
Uh, so
Seriously.
yeah,
Oh, that's cool. Let me ask you, like, going back to kind of levels. Obviously, like when you're starting off, you have different problems than you have like kind of later down the road. A good number of our crew, they're fairly successful. They're in like the low five figures a month range, maybe like ten to $15,000 AP. They're running slim, they're running lean. What do you think you need to do? Because you've seen it with your organization. How do you jump from say 10, $12,000 AP a month to something like about 25,000 or higher? Like what do you have to have in place to be able to do that without working 7,000 hours a day?
yeah. So one of the things about our system is on our live transfer program, our hours are 9 to 6 Monday through Friday. So that's all agents have the opportunity to work live transfer leads. So so we don't see people work a crazy amount of hours like that. We have some agents that'll work weekends if they haven't hit their goal, and they're poster child agents. Like, this is what you do if you want to be successful.
Gotcha.
But the biggest thing is people are timid and afraid to invest in marketing. And that's what it all comes down to. And as you guys know, you probably
Mhm.
talk to a lot of people that are interested in the chatbot program, and they're like, well, I don't want to pay that much money. I'll just
Mhm.
keep spending money on Facebook leads that I'm going to call and they're not going to answer, and I'm going to cuss. And then I'm going to do that again.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yep.
repetition, and it's like, man, just buy some leads. Like, that's what it comes down to. Buy some leads, invest in yourself, trust the process, and it'll all work out for you. And we have an agent that's consistently written $20,000 a week with it, or $20,000 a month, for I don't know how many months in a row. But when she was new with us, she bought 20 leads and said, I'm going to take 10 this week and 10 next week. And she did that for about a month. And then she said, hey, I believe in what you guys are doing. I trust this process now. I can see that you're not like those other people that had me selling mortgage protection or whatever.
Mhm.
And she said, you just tell me what to do and I'm going to do it. And I said, okay, buy 20 leads a week until you can afford more. And she got on that system. And I mean, she just now started buying 35 leads a week. She's always bought 20 to 25 leads a week and write $20,000 in premium every single month. And it's very doable, but you have to have discipline to work, and you got to invest in yourself. That's what it comes down to. Never look at a lead as an expense. It's an investment. Look at yourself as like, you run a steakhouse. Are you going to buy steaks or not? If you run a steakhouse and you don't have any steaks, nobody's coming to buy anything from you. And that's the way we've always looked at final expense leads and the final expense market. Like, a huge reason why people fail is because they're afraid to invest in themselves.
Yeah. You have to have like the cojones, right?
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
this big, like a lot of time, like we're gonna ask you, like you guys too, you're gonna have to commit. You're gonna have to commit emotionally. You're gonna have to commit with your wallet. You're gonna have to put your heart into this stuff. Like you
Yep.
can't. I haven't seen too many very successful part-time agents. It just, I mean, have you? Do you guys do that?
No, we basically tell them like, we have a conversation with them, and part of that conversation is what's your income expectations, and then what's the time that you're expecting to work? Because the problem with the insurance industry is it's full of bright, shiny objects, right? So everybody's always changing paths and everything. And most paths that people go down, when they talk to the recruiter, they say, hey, you're going to work 12 hours a week. And the only thing else that you got to decide right now is what color Lamborghini are you going to get? And and these people are like, I've struck it rich, and then they realize that they actually have to work, and it doesn't work out for them. So that's we a lot of times we're talking people off the ledge from what they're expecting, and
Hmm.
we're explaining to them that, man, this is gonna be hard work. And this is, if you only put in 12 hours a day or 12 hours a week rather, you're going to fail. And sometimes they don't want to hear that, and they go on to somebody else. And we're happy to see them go, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, it's true. Hey, it ain't for everyone, right?
Right. It's not. Yeah.
If it's
Yeah.
easy, everyone would do it. But yeah, that's the same thing. Like will communicate when we're talking about like when we're going to sign somebody up. Like, hey, where are you at? Where do you have to be? And then where do you want to be is kind of a secondary goal. But I'm very quick, and Jerry's the same way. Like, ain't no Lambos promised, right? What is
Yeah.
promised? If you work hard, you're going to do better, and you're going to have a more pleasurable experience. But
Yeah.
you can, like, how much should I close? I'm like, I don't know. How hard are you going to work? How much better are you going to get than you are
Yeah.
now? Because you'll be better at the end of your third week than you are at the end of your second day. It's just progression.
Right. Yeah.
So,
And I'm a big fan of always putting that back on agents when they say, what's the closing ratio? What's your
mhm,
work ethic? Are you going to study and get good to close the sales? Because if you're not, your closing ratio is going to be like 3% or zero. Like, I don't know. But it's if you don't call them, you're not closing any of them. Same thing like for your guys, if the people don't work the leads, they're not making sales.
yeah.
And a lot of agents don't want to hear that.
Yeah, it's hard because you're having honest conversations and you're telling people what they don't want to hear. But in the end, for the people who kind of look inside and say, okay, this isn't Lambo tomorrow, but this can be a really solid business if I kind of keep doing what I'm supposed to do and my trajectory stays like that, then it makes it fun because everybody's expectations are managed. I love it.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Do you guys record your calls, by the way? Do you guys like how do you train your guys like ongoing?
So we are very, very highly compliant. We record every single call. We keep the recording forever.
Hmm.
And it's funny when you talk to some of the agents and and some of the stuff that they're doing with offshore leads, and not that all offshore leads are bad, but we don't use them. But they're getting offshore leads sent to their cell phone, and I'm like, are you ever concerned about getting sued? And they're like, what? Like that never even occurs to them. And so yeah, just being 100% compliant is huge. And then the bonus to that is when you record every single call, you can go back and listen to calls and help agents with where something went wrong. And
Hmm.
it's really a great training tool for an agent to listen to their own calls and listen to their own recordings and see like this is where I'm going wrong or whatever. So yeah, absolutely 100% compliant, record everything every second. Like that's yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I wasn't trying to bust your stones on the compliance thing. I have no idea. But now I was thinking like more of on a training kind of a training wavelength. How do you get
Mhm.
better if you don't know what you need to improve?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we're huge proponents, and anybody who's listening, if you're in any of our programs, you've heard me say it before, but record your damn calls, okay? Like, do it. You can use Line 2. I'm sure there's other software you can do. Record your calls and be able understand that you're going to be better later on. So be able to take a look at yourself and say, you know what? I blew that call. I screwed that up.
Yeah.
On the other hand, see the stuff that you did well. You might have had an objection that you overcame and you were just like, it flew out of your mouth and you're like, whoa, what? I did that? But like, lock it in. If you do like post-call training, you can lock that stuff in and you will. It's almost like you're improving just as much by your wins as your losses. Everyone always says just listen to your losses, but I think there's value from wins as well.
Yeah. And I think with call recording and using it for training like that, if you're running into losing calls at a certain point, like that's when when the call recordings are so valuable because you can go back and listen to your last 5 calls and maybe the 2 minutes before that. When you're losing them, maybe you're losing them at banking, maybe you're losing them at the beginning of the call. But if you have that data, the recording being the data, you can always go back and check that and see, does my tonality change? Like what's going on here? But something's wrong, right? If you're losing the sale over and over and over, and it's like if you're hitting yourself with if you're hammering a nail and you keep hitting your thumb, are you going to keep hitting your thumb? I mean,
Yeah.
like, come on, man, we got to train on this and get you upright. So,
Yeah, but it's sales and like I'm good and I closed a couple before, so it'll take too much time and I gotta go drink beers with my friends, so I
yeah,
probably can't record it. And plus it's technology and I don't know. Just record your damn calls, please. Please. Come
yeah.
on. How about how do you guys how do you build rapport with your prospects without seeing them face to face? Do you have any like tricks or tools or anything that you do?
So, taking interest in the client is a big factor. Like, and we always relate back to family. That's very, very important. And then praising them, praising them, showing empathy when it's the correct thing to do. Those are the things like when you praise somebody and you're talking to them and making them feel good, that they want to keep talking to you and they're going to open up more. And then when you use empathy and you put yourself in their shoes and, man, I know it's probably hard not getting to see your family a lot, with this crazy world the way it is, and you're just there in your apartment. I can tell it's tough for you. And then you just stop right there, and then the customer just, well, yeah, and they just start rambling, and then you just build from there. So that's the biggest thing, praise and empathy. Those two things are going to get you in good rapport. And then don't believe that you're in good rapport because you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Like that's not real rapport. When you have somebody they want to keep talking about the Cowboys, the question I'm going to ask them is, so do your kids come over and watch the games with you?
Mm.
And now we're
Yeah.
back on family. And that's a great tip right there. And then another tip about building rapport right now that I would share with everybody is when you get on the phone with the person, and we have a scripted sales process, and as we move into our rapport building section, we have to open up the rapport building. And how do you do that? Right now, the easiest way is to say, I see that you're in South Florida. How's the virus down there? And, regardless of who you're talking to, they're going to have an opinion. They're going to start rambling. And then I'm going to say, I have 2 kids that still go to school. And how about you? Are your grandkids going to school, or what's going on with them? Or kids, whatever it is. And that now we're talking about family again. And then we're just going to build rapport on that. So using the virus to, we always talk open-ended questions in rapport building is how you want to get the customer talking. And using the virus is a great way to open it up. The third thing that I would say as far as praising them, showing empathy, and then the third thing is you have to share stuff about yourself. If you don't share stuff about yourself, then it's just an interrogation. And the best way to get you to get somebody to tell you something is for you to tell them whatever you want to know about yourself first. So I have 3 kids. Their names are Caleb, Ellie, and Kinsley. How about you, Jason? And then,
Wow. You have 3 kids? That's crazy. I've got a list of Jason and Molly. We're like, wow. So instantly, like, how old are your kids? That's
yeah,
great.
yeah. And then
Absolutely.
and now you're talking about something, and it's not an interrogation,
Mm-mm.
and that's the biggest problem with new agents is it's a bunch of closed-ended questions that are very much like an interrogation.
Yeah. And you brought up something else too that like I want to like revisit or reiterate or whatever. Um, you're like when people go off the ranch, there's something called like I've taken Jordan Belfort's straight line persuasion, where you can let
Mhm.
them a little bit higher, a little bit low, but you got to keep them on the straight line. When
Yeah.
what I've found is if I'm having a conversation, they start telling me about their train hobby from back when they were 7. They're like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta get him back, but how do I've always struggled in like, okay, how do you do it without sounding like a jerk, without breaking rapport? But
Yeah.
you just, like James, just what you said, I hope you guys who are watching this, listening to this, like you just took this, and if so, like give me a thumbs up or something, because by equating that to the loved ones that they're going to protect. Like this is all about the loved ones anyway. So yeah, man, I bet. Did you ever show that your toy trains to your grandkids and your kids?
Yeah.
Like, what do they feel about it? You're back.
Yeah.
You're back to the love. You're back to the rapport that's really important.
Yep. Exactly.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
That's great.
The other thing I'll tell you about the people that ramble, they talk too much. They've talked too much their entire life. You can tell those people to shut up in a nice way and not offend them because that's what's happened to them their entire life. And most people are not confident enough to do that. But I
Hmm.
would do it in this way. I would say, Jason, you're just like me, man. You're so easy to get off track. But I got to get you back on track here. So, like I was saying, these final expense programs, uh, they go through small whole life insurance policies, and there are no health questions. And now I'm back into my script. So, or I don't say no health questions, no
Yeah.
medical exam.
Yeah.
Uh, we don't write only guaranteed issue. We try not to write any guaranteed issue.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, the opposite actually. We hate guaranteed issue.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, dude, you're so right about it because yeah, they are used to and they're like, you know what? I know I talk too much. All right, let's get on. And
yeah,
I think the other thing is like they can talk themselves bored. So they're used to doing this and talking and talking and talking. And if you allow them to just like take the control, they're gonna go off into a corner and they're like, you know what? I actually, I still gotta make the soup for dinner. So it was great
yeah,
talking. What's your name again? And like that's it. No respect, no rapport. They're done.
yeah, yeah.
Gotta close the next one. Um, how do you guys push for a one call close every time?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we don't believe in callbacks.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah, with that, I've never, I would never want to work at least for final expense. Maybe the term
Mhm.
guys, maybe they know this follow up system and everything, and but not me. Like we do one call close. That's the way we do it. They're either buying now or they're not.
Mhm.
One of the challenges that we have seen from other agents is when they come on our platform, they're like, okay, how do I set callbacks? Like, we don't set callbacks. What do you mean?
So,
They're like, oh, I need a 30-day follow up and all this cool stuff that other people's CRMs do. And we're like, dude, we don't care about that. Like, we're closing them today. There is no follow up. And that's just like, it blew my mind how many people they have this idea that they're going to nurture these final expense leads. That's not going to work. If you purchase a lead and you want to call it back 25 times, I'm not going to be mad at you because you paid for the lead, right? But the reality of it is, if you get the person on the phone, never ever get them on the phone without the intention of closing them today. And that goes back to the door knocking days. People would ask me, "Do you set appointments at the door?" And I'm like, "Why? Why? Why would you knock on somebody's door in their home and say, 'Can I come back another time?'" Like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Like, what? It's just crazy, man. But that's the things that these these IMOs and stuff, sometimes, they're teaching the telesales the wrong way. And, that's just, it's what we do. So,
Yeah, you can, I mean, and you can ethically do it. And if you think like psychologically, law of big numbers, these people, they're on the phone with you for a reason.
right.
Couple things I try to teach my guys to say, just easy questions, like in the beginning of the conversation, like, hey, how long have you been thinking about this? What
Mhm.
happened? Like, why do you need to do this right now? That's a big one. You can get good pushback and good information from that. But you
Yeah.
can use that later on. Like, oh, you've been thinking about it 2 years and your Aunt Sally died and everybody had to come together. So what? You want to think about it some more? Why haven't you done it already? Like,
Right. Yeah.
kind of
And
throw it back
and the
at them.
biggest thing is they're not paying for it today in most cases.
Mm-mm. Almost
So
never.
like you don't, I'm not asking you for the money today. I'm asking you for the commitment that you're going to pay it in a few days or, next month or whatever. Um, so that's the big thing. Like, I mean, it's different if you're saying, hey, do you have the money in your bank right now to take this out? That's really the only objection of why somebody shouldn't move forward right now, is if you were asking for the money now. There's nothing to think about. They've already thought about it. They know they need to do this. They're just used to weak salespeople that just let them go when they say, let me go talk to my sister or whatever, and then I'll call you back and next week or something. That's so weak, man. Like you got to be able to, never let that be said. That's the way we teach our agents is, we call it response block selling, where we're going to block a lot of their, things that they can say. We're going to block it before they ever even voice it.
Yes.
Uh, so one of the things is at the beginning of the call, we'll say, uh, these plans are for people on a fixed income. We say that right, like in the first 30 to 45 seconds of the call, because the number one thing people are going to say is, hey, I'm on a fixed income. I may not be able to afford this.
Hmm.
Um, if you let them say that. So you got to block it before time.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we got
You do
a
that.
sorry, we got a question from the in the comments section, James. What about people who need to consult their spouses when they're on the phone?
Uh, so we want to find that out right away. But if we want to find out if who they're interested in coverage for, and then we want to customize our presentation around that. Even if they have a spouse that they need to consult, like the first thing that we'll do is we'll ask them, um, how long have you been married? We're going to find that out in the rapport building section. Many of these seniors have been married 2 or 3 years because they were married for 30 years and their spouse passed away. A lot of those people, they don't even do their finances together. So this talk to my spouse is not even a real concern. The other thing is, as we go through the presentation, we want to pump the customer up that they're going to be able to make this decision on their own, and we want to make it about them. And if I get to the end of the call and I have a guy that tells me, hey, I got to talk to my wife about this, I'll say, no, you don't. I took out a policy for my wife and I didn't ask her permission. And you know what? She gave me permission and I made a promise that I was going to protect her for the rest of my life when I married her. So you don't need her permission to move forward with this. Now that's a little harder line close at the end than what, we don't want to get to that point. But if somebody just comes out of left field and says, hey, I got to talk to my wife before I move forward with this, like once you've given them the rates, you're in trouble. So you want to overcome that before you ever get to the rates. And if you really believe they have to talk to their spouse, call them right then on three-way, or set a call back, which I'm 100% against, before you ever give them the quotes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's great. Um, Man, this is good. Really, really, really good tactical down in the trenches stuff, James. I
Yeah.
appreciate it so much, man. I hope
Yeah.
you guys are getting some nuggets out of this. Jerry, you got any other questions?
That is all we got right now, but if you guys have any more, go ahead and pop them down in the comment section. We will get them on here while we get James on live.
All right, cool. Next for a minute or two, and then I'm not trying to keep you up all day or anything. What do you think about the lack of ability to get a social security number or a bank account number? Is that like Is that a rapport thing? Is it a tactical thing? How do you teach that?
It's both. Our foundation of everything we do, we build it on rapport. So we have to get in good rapport with the customer early in the call, or we're
Mhm.
never going to be able to make the sale at the end.
Yep.
Even if you're in super good rapport with the customer and you don't have a scripted process of how you're going to collect the social security number in the banking, you're going to mess it up from time to time. I always give our
Sure.
agents an example of if you call DirecTV and you say, hey, I want to sign up for coverage or I want to sign up for service today, um, they're going to ask you for your banking information. You're going to give it to them, no problem. And the reason for that is that's what they do. They take orders all day long, and part of that is collecting banking. And you have to be scripted at that point to ask for the information the same way every single time on every single call so that it's flawless. And it's like, this is just, I mean, this isn't anything.
It's
You
just
know,
a
like,
question.
yeah, just a question, like, what's your name? Like,
Yeah. What's your social? What's your
yeah,
social? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, just quick, easy,
Yeah.
and make everything seem easy to the customer, and they'll give you their information. The biggest thing is the agent has to be more confident that the bank draft is going to work correctly than the customer is confident that it won't. And that's what it comes down to. So it's confidence in your voice, confidence in your process, and you'll make a lot of sales like
Yeah. And just relax, like just like you said. It's not a big
that.
deal. Hey, what's your
Yeah,
I didn't say social security. What's your social security number? Like, oh, what's your social?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Quick, easy. It's just, boom, and you got it. The
Yeah.
biggest thing I would say for new agents, if you're new to final expense telesales and you're struggling at that point, understand that that's normal. And if you go back and you listen to your call recordings, you'll probably hear a tweak in your voice from time to time. And, you're getting nervous, you're getting excited, you're probably shaking in some cases. and just relax and breathe, man. It's just a question. The worst thing they can do is hang up on you.
Yeah. That's what I think. And going back to your answer before, if you have to play hardball with them, and I'm pretty laid back and chill and stuff, but if you do have to play hardball, and if you do lose the sale, it doesn't matter. There's a lot behind it. You don't have like you're not losing anything until the policy really gets approved. You're not making a penny anyway. So
Right.
what have you lost? You're, yeah, just go for
Yeah.
it, and you'll lose some and you'll win some. The cool thing is you don't need to win that many to do pretty well with this game.
Yeah, exactly. And the other part of that is the hardest fought sales are usually the ones that stick. When you get somebody that's like, oh, I need 20 grand, and they just sign right up, no questions asked, like
Yeah.
those are the ones that don't stick. And that's just the way it is. Some people, they just need that nudge. They need that person that's not going to let them off the hook because the last 10 guys did.
Hmm.
Um, so just hold them accountable in an ethical and polite way, and they'll move forward a lot of the times.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Do you guys do anything to keep policies on the books? Like, do you guys have any like automated cards that you send out or anything like that?
It's not automated, but we have somebody that stuffs envelopes and mails them out.
Ooh.
Remember, we're not that technical to do automated cards, but yeah. So we mail out welcome packets, and then we have a customer service team that's calling on missed payments and
Oh,
things like
cool.
that to save business for our agents.
So you do have and is that for like for every agent that joins in? So they're can you actually take me through like tell me a little bit about like we've been talking about tactics and how to sell, but you want to tell us a little bit about PPG and like and how you work with agents?
Yeah. So basically, what we do is we have a turnkey system. We're the independent side of North Star Insurance Advisors, and that's so we basically took their model
Mhm.
and just transition it over to agents that didn't want to be captive on a free lead program. So that's really why we founded PPG. And agents that partner with us, they plug into the same training. They go through the training, then we put them on the phone. They work outbound B leads. They make a sale, then they start buying live transfer leads, and now chatbot leads.
Right,
And then
baby.
what's that?
I said that's right, baby.
Yeah. So then agents on our program, that we have weekly trainings for them. They have a business advisor in most cases, so they have a point of contact that's like their coach, so to speak. And then we have a customer service team that's going to call on missed payments, mail out welcome packets, all that good stuff. So we basically took the North Star way and converted it over to the independent side. We ran into some challenges, as you do anytime you start a business, but over the past 2.5 years, I think we've been doing this now, almost 3 years. We've really fine-tuned a lot of stuff, and recently we started investing in more technology, chatbot leads to become a more innovative lead source, because our live transfer lead program, a lot of agents, they just don't want to commit to the right way to, in our mind, the right way to sell final expense over the phone is live transfer leads. But we understand that there's, with innovation, there's a lot of different things that are now available. And the closest thing that I've seen to a live transfer is actually a chatbot lead. And the rapport building and that kind of stuff that's done ahead of time, it's pretty neat. It's pretty exciting to be a part of that as well. So for agents on our platform, we got every lead option under the sun. But the two things that we're really pushing are live transfer leads and chatbot leads.
Awesome. What? I'm so excited to be partnered up with you guys and to see your progression as you're kind of using the chatbots. Can't wait to take a look like a month in, like as your agents are progressing, and let's see where they're at. Let's see how to get them better and better and better, and then expand it out. Just cool stuff.
And that's one of the things that I think you could bring to the table for some agents is, we know how to work live transfer leads. We have a script and everything that works perfect for that. From your experience, as I said, a couple years ago, you were doing chatbot leads. And just what you've learned and agents that are plugging into your system, I'm sure you give them some type of, here's how you work this lead. We had some little discussions about that. So we're basically taking our script and doing it now, but we're liking how much rapport is built before we ever get on the phone with the customer. So we're pretty excited about it. It seems to be going really well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm a big fan of taking, especially with the live transfers. I haven't done a live transfer in forever, but I imagine it's similar to the chatbot. When the client gets called, they've already seen the agent's license. They've already seen, they already kind of know them a little bit. They've seen their picture. So a lot of times there's a lot of rapport in there to where once you screen in the phone number, the prospect will sit there and they'll say, wow, okay, I'm waiting for James to call. Oh, James. They're like, yeah, well, hey, it's great finally getting to speak with you. I mean, the rapport is up here, and then the challenge is to keep it going it's almost like you want to take your sales hat off for a minute, and you're so friendly, you're so far up here that you just want to naturally kind of progress. So it's a fun challenge to have.
Yeah, we always teach the first 4 seconds of the call is what's very important. Mm-hmm. Because if this person sees your information in their Facebook Messenger, they see your picture with your family or your license or whatever, and then you call them up and you're just totally you look like this hip guy, right? And then you get on the phone with them and you're like, hi, Mary. It's over, man. Just let her go. Move on to the next one. Listen to your recording. It sounded terrible.
Yes. So I think the biggest thing that we can pick up from here, or one of the biggest things, is record your calls.
Yeah.
It's funny, when you're selling over the phone, you can kind of mold or tailor your approach, not so much voice, but your inflections, your pace. You can slow down, you can speed up, you can go low, you can go high. There's a bunch of tonality things that you can do to model your prospect, and also the tone of the conversation. So that's a lot of straight line persuasion stuff, but it really does work well when they can't see you, so that they know that you care. It's easier than saying, I really care. Aunt Mary, I care.
We always say that tonality is the body language of telesales. Mm-hmm. That's the advice we give agents, because everybody talks about your body language and this I can't remember the neurological programming, or there's
Oh,
some
NLP.
NLP. That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah. So like all that stuff over the phone, like how you going to do it? And your tonality is the key. And the example I give people is when I read a book to my 3-year-old, I'm not all drab. I'm like excited, like Thomas the Train, he might make it to the top of this hill. This is going to be amazing. And and if you can't be like that with a customer, then you're in trouble. And I'm a very monotone, laid back guy naturally. So this is like stepping outside of myself to become something different when I actually get on the phone and talk to people.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. So we had I signed up somebody today, like great guy. He can tell he's very, very, very good on the phones. And he was when we jumped on our call, he was just finishing up his last call. And then he had to call her back. He's like, I can't, all right, so I gotta just break this call for a second. And then so I heard from us for a second or two, as he was getting back on the phone with him, like, oh Mary. Oh, I'm so sorry. Wow. Like that must be really tough. Just like that, I'm like,
Yeah.
boom, he's got it.
Yeah.
But Mary, you know that, I mean, and he told me later he closed the deal, which is cool. But Mary understands, more important than him understanding Mary's situation, Mary understands that he understands her situation, if that if that makes sense.
Yeah. Makes sense to me because I'm right there with you.
So you guys practice your tonality and record your calls.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're almost at an hour here, James. I just want to know, like, if some. Oh, before I ask you that, who's a good fit with your group? Because obviously you don't want to take any agent, but like, who would you like to hear from?
We like people that are coachable. That's a big factor. If you were the #1 sales agent in 1983 for your company and you're still riding high on that, we don't want you. If you're new and you're like, man, I want to sell Final Expense over the phone because it fits my life, I can be disciplined at home and work from home. Or if you're like a startup call center, we've got some call centers that are partnering with us that are backed by private equity money. We've got a lot of call center opportunities. So if you're of the entrepreneurial spirit and you want to jump into Final Expense Telesales, we can help you with a call center. From the independent agent side, we want people that are hungry and that are ready to be coached and are ready to invest in themselves, and we can help them become a top producer on our platform. I'm 100% sure about that. But it all comes down to the agent having the time and the discipline to dive into this. And if you can't do that, that's what we talk about, self-evaluation. If you can't do that, don't waste your money working with us. That's what it comes down to, is just don't waste your money. Like, do something else.
Yes, go.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it. Go be a fry guy. That's so mean. How can we get in touch with you? Like, if we have an agent who's looking to make a change and wants more information, how can they reach it?
ppgtelesales.com is our website, which is premierproducersgroup.com as well. And in our Facebook, we're on Premier Producers Group. We have the Final Expense Telesales Revolution Facebook group. And that's really how you get a hold of us, social media or our website.
Awesome. Well, dude, I appreciate it so much. You've helped me. Like, some of the stuff that you dropped have been like some pretty awesome nuggets. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys who are listening to this, hopefully you can take a lot of value out of this as well. Jerry, any last minute questions from the crew?
We had another question about handling objections, but I think you guys answer it, so I think we're good to go.
Oh, look at that. He's so good. He has like Jedi mind powers that he knew the question that was being asked and he just like answered it anyway. It's pretty good.
That's response block selling, remember?
Yes.
So that's what we do. Yeah.
Oh
I
my
appreciate
God.
you guys having me on, and I appreciate the opportunity to work with you guys, and we're really excited to blast our success with you all over the internet. So we're looking forward to growing our chatbot lead program and working with you guys as well.
Man, I can't wait to see where we go together. This is going to be really cool. Like a year from now, this is going to be really cool to look back and say like, wow, started here, now we're up here, and
Yeah.
that's really, 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 really cool. All right, so guys, thank you for listening. This has been like a real treat. And again, James, I appreciate you coming on here. And yeah, man, let's keep on rocking it out.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.